Y'all ready? Yeah. Let's go. Come on.
Tiger Rag Radio is on the air.
Let's crank this thing up.
We're statewide, breaking down the latest happenings with LSU athletics.
This is us.
Hear from the coaches.
Our time is now with LSU basketball.
The players.
Having fun and we working, baby. That's it, baby.
The recruits.
One way or another, we're going to make history.
And those who cover the Fighting Tigers of LSU and the SEC.
LSU is the best job in football.
It's 2 hours of nonstop LSU talk.
I came here to win. We're going to win immediately.
Tiger Rag Radio is brought to you by Cummins. Cummins creates power solutions that the world depends on. Louisiana Beef Industry Council, Boudreaux's Electrical Services, and Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation. Get ready to talk Tigers with producer Case Kieschnick and our hosts, Todd Horn, Jeff Palermo, and Glenn Gilbo.
Players that are better people than they are players.
This is Tiger Rag Radio.
Back here on Tiger Rag Radio, hour number 2 of the show. Thanks for listening. If you missed the first hour, don't worry. You'll be able to catch it on YouTube or anywhere you get your podcast. It'll be uploaded to those 2 venues here about an hour or 2 hours after the show. So, and then, of course, you'll have the entire week to be able to have a chance to catch up to what we had in the first hour. A lot of talk about what Greg Sankey had to say to open up SEC Football Media Days. Raymond Parsh from ESPN Southwest Radio joined us as well from Tampa. And our next guest is also in Tampa. It is Chris Gordy, host of the Locked On SEC podcast. Chris, thanks a lot for spending some time with us. Of course, Chris also works at Sports Talk 790 in Houston. How you doing, Chris?
Doing good, guys. Good to know RP3 opened for me. He's a good opener.
He is a good opener. We're not going to ask you to bunt. We're going to ask you to try to hit it in the gap and try to drive him home after he got on base. So looking forward to this.
That would be better than this LSU baseball team.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Wow.
Not the team that's in that great book that you read, is it, Chris?
No, and I'm glad to tell Glenn I finally finished his book. It took me like 4 summers.
A lot of big words in there.
It helped, I guess, that LSU baseball got eliminated. It allowed you to read a little bit more about the glory days of LSU baseball. But Chris, what's obviously Greg Sankey is the one that made news. It's still what everybody is talking about. Your big takeaways from what he had to say on Monday.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is posturing. I mean, I think at the end of the day, they just want, and Kirby Smart kind of reiterated today, they want rules and they want them enforced. I mean, it's not a crazy idea. It just seems like there's been so much anarchy these last few years of college sports because, the NCAA made rules and then everybody just breaks them or, gets a local judge to overrule or, whatever, and it's a mess. And so I think that's all they're asking for. I don't think it's not a threat. It's not like the SEC is saying, fix this or we're going to go do our own thing. It's saying, you guys won't do what you're supposed to do, so what choice are you leaving us? We want to have rules and rules enforcement. And so, yeah, I think it's just a sign on the NCAA just being a spineless organization and not being retroactive or proactive, I should say, in the last few years and getting ahead of some of this stuff. And this is where we are right now. But yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, it sounds great and all. I mean, I've even said if the SEC were to break off, I think you could only do it in football only. I think you would still have to be a member of the NCAA and basketball and baseball, track and field and all that, because I just can't imagine you creating your own championships in those leagues. I mean, what, are you not going to go to Omaha? You're not going to be part of the NCAA tournament in basketball? It's a crazy idea. So, if you went off and branched off and did your own thing in football, maybe, there's a world where the SEC and Big Ten could partner up and separate from the NCAA in that light. But I think every other sport you would have to participate still. And there's just so many headaches and red tape you'd have to get through. I think it's, like I said, I think it's just posturing and saying, get your stuff together, NCAA, and kind of pushing Congress and its Protect College Sports Act a little bit too to say, let's get something passed here.
Yeah, they're not going to break out in bowling. I don't think so. But
they don't have a bowling.
Well, we've covered that business end of the SEC Media Days pretty well here so far. What getting back to the football field? What teams have you heard from the last couple of days that you think are impressive, or just what some other observations, and what have you heard interesting about Kiffin from the other coaches?
Well, I'll tell you, Kirby Smart today. I mean, Georgia is Georgia. It's so crazy, guys. They spent so many years trying to get to Atlanta and trying to win, win the SEC championship. Kirby finally broke through and did it a few years back, and now he's won back-to-back SEC championships these past 2 years. And get all everybody wants to talk about with Georgia is, man, they lost 2 years in a row in the playoff, and it's like, can we not take a minute and recognize they won the SEC championship 2 years in a row in years where the SEC has been as stacked as it's ever been in terms of competitive, and it's like we don't even give a hat tip to that. But the craziest stat to me is Kirby is, I believe it's 65-7 since 2021. I mean, he's incredible, and I think the kind of consensus around the media days is that it's Georgia and Texas. Those are the two best teams of the conference. I think those will be the picks when the media votes tomorrow on who they think will win the conference. But Kirby's as confident as he's ever been. Their defense took a little bit of a step back last year. They still only gave up 17 points a game, but they only had 20 sacks. Go look at Kirby's teams the years prior. It's like 35, 37, 40 sacks. I mean, they are known for wreaking havoc. They did not do that last year, and so I know Kirby's made that a mission to try to get back to doing that. And he's got his quarterback, Gunnar Stockton, back, who is a very efficient, very smart quarterback, takes care of the football, takes a lot of hits. So, yeah, Georgia is ready to go. And, if you look for a team that, might be a little bit of a sleeper just in terms of might sneak up on people, I got to interview Will Stein yesterday from Kentucky, and that guy is a future rock star in my opinion. I mean, he's 36 years old. He's first-time head coach. But, man, he is an offensive guru. He was the OC at Oregon just last year. And he's a Kentucky kid through and through. His family all lives there, and he's happy to be repping the Bluegrass State. And with, I think it's like 40-something, guys they brought in through the portal, it's going to be, I've called them the ultimate wild card. Kentucky is a team, you look at the schedule, and you don't know what you're going to get from. That's a team that could, that could really give anybody a game. And we've had several people say they think they're going to give Alabama a game in week 2 in Lexington, because Alabama's, going to be working in a new quarterback. So it's going to be fascinating to watch Will Stein in Kentucky.
Well, that leads me to my question I wanted to ask you, Chris. Well, which game is a bigger challenge for LSU, at Kentucky or at Auburn?
I think at Auburn, because Jordan Hare, look, nothing against Kroger Field. It is tough. I was there a couple of years ago when it was the game that Ed Ogeron got fired. Lost there. I mean, I was standing there as everybody in blue and white were singing Call in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, they got killed that night,
so,
man. They sure did.
Yeah, it was brutal. And that was the trip that the big money people from LSU made that trip, and they got to see that in person. So they reacted accordingly. But yeah, to me at Auburn, Jordan Hare, I mean, as up and down as Auburn's been in recent years, Jordan Hare is still one of the most feared stadiums. When that eagle is flying around and that crowd gets going, kudos to their fans, man. I mean, they support their team through thick and thin, and they can get loud. And so, yeah, it's a little bit of a, if you're LSU, you would have rather have gone to Auburn the last couple of years as opposed to this year with Alex Golesh, who actually knows what he's doing on offense, as opposed to whatever Hugh Freeze was putting out there the last 2 years.
And so, Brian Harsin, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right.
But this might be the year one of Golesh. Maybe this is the year that might be a little bit easier going back to Jordan Hare, but always a tough place to play on the road.
Look, Chris, you're locked on the SEC. See what I did there?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So what do you think about all this talk that's supposedly going around Tampa right now that Lane Kiffin has to win and win big in his first year at LSU? Do you believe that? Do you buy into that?
No, I don't. I mean, I think it's a little silly because most of the LSU fans I've talked to have said, look, I know we spent $40 million on a transfer portal, but if we go 9-3 or 8-4, it's a good foundational year to get this thing started under Kiffin. But everybody gets it. It's a tough schedule. I mean, it's a brutal schedule. You get road trips to Tennessee, a home game against Texas in November. It is brutal, and Clemson in the opener. So. I think most level-headed LSU fans, look, everybody's hoping to go 10-2 or better and make the playoff, but they're going to call for his head if he goes 9-3, 8-4. No, I think most people say, look, we got it. It was a tough year one, and Kiffin will go back to the portal and make the adjustments he needs to make. But but no, on the outside, you're absolutely right. Everybody's like, he better win. he left Ole Miss for this. And it's like, look, man, he didn't leave to go win at LSU this year. He left to go win at LSU in the next 5 years. That's the whole thing. It's about establishing a big thing at LSU, recruiting well, and building a dynasty at LSU potentially. That's why he left Oxford. If it was just about winning this year, he would have stayed at Ole Miss, and he would have won. Made the playoff this year, returned that champions and Kewan Lacey back. So, but you're right. I was talking to one of the national guys today. I said, man, it is like nationally, Lane Kiffin could do nothing right. I mean, it is. Yeah. When they go to Oxford week 3, guys, the entire nation will be rooting against LSU. If you're an LSU fan, you just kind of embrace that because everybody is rooting against you.
And that's why I fear a little bit at SEC Media Days on Thursday. We're not going to learn much about the LSU team because the national guys are going to continue to keep asking them, about leaving Ole Miss.
Yeah, and that's what I've been saying. People are saying, like, what are one of the big storylines you want to watch? People forget when Lane got introduced at LSU, it was a very pro-LSU, press conference room. It was all local media, and I think maybe Ross Dellinger and one other national person was there, but it was all local media. Yeah. And then every time he met with the media throughout the spring, it was all local media. It's the first time since he left Oxford, or really since he left the tarmac with Marty Smith, that he's going to be asked some tough questions by national media and Ole Miss media as well. So I'm curious to see how Lane handles it because there are a lot of angry folks in Oxford that I think are going to be looking for their piece of flesh on Thursday.
Hey, Chris, 2 of the biggest games that LSU is going to play this year are in Tiger Stadium, not counting the Ole Miss game, but they involve 2 Texas teams, Texas A&M and Texas. And I know you've already said you think Texas is one of the top 2 teams in the league this year. But do you give LSU a chance in either of those games?
Man, we're going to gloss over Alabama like LSU's just beating Alabama.
Well, they have a new quarterback. They have a new quarterback. Come on.
That has happened, though, quite a few times since that schedule was announced. Yeah. Alabama's just another game.
No, my Alabama friend likes to remind me that Alabama beats LSU more in Baton Rouge than they win just about anywhere else. So
no question.
It's pretty crazy. But no, I mean it's a tough schedule top to bottom. It just is. I mean you go to a 9-game conference slate. It's tough. And newsflash, guys, Vanderbilt they're not the doormat anymore. They're a competitive team. Clark Lee's got those guys believing. Jeff Levy and Mississippi State are supposed to take a step forward in year 3. So, I mean, the SEC's tough top to bottom. But you're right. I mean, Texas A&M is going to be tough. Texas is going to be tough. I do think A&M takes a little bit of a step back. They lose Colin Klein, their young, bright offensive mind. He goes back to Kansas State. They promoted within. Holman Wiggins is their offensive coordinator. I think it's a mistake on Mike Elko's part. And it reminds me a little bit of last year. South Carolina promoted within and made Mike Elko their OC. It was a disaster. Lenore Sellers went from one of the best quarterbacks in the conference to a dud. They went 4-8. So I think this Holman Wiggins experiment. Look, there's a chance Marcel Reed regresses and is not as good this year, and so maybe A&M isn't as tough. Look, I know that LSU can't get beat any worse than they did last year by A&M. That's the game that got Brian Kelly fired. So
that was only the second half. That was only the second half.
They won the first half, man. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, Brian Kelly will let you know, too. They were really good in the first half. But I will say, I mean, Texas is going to be a problem. I mean, Steve Sarkisian, they've used the words all in so many times this offseason. They fired their defensive coordinator. They brought in Will Muschamp to create more havoc and pressure. They got rid of their entire running back room and brought in new running backs through the portal. They got Cam Coleman, one of the top wide receiver portal guys, and then Arch Manning kid's pretty good. So Texas is going to be a problem.
Well, we appreciate it, Chris. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. Thanks a lot for your time. Enjoy the final 2 days in Tampa, and hopefully we get some more good storylines. It'll be interesting to see what Lane says on Thursday.
Thanks, guys. And Glenn, you need to write another book. It'll take me 5 years to read.
Thanks, man.
All right, Chris Gordy, host of the Locked On SEC podcast, also with Sports Talk Radio in Houston. That's 790. We'll take a break, talk a little baseball when we come back here on Tiger Rag Radio.
The East Baton Rouge Parish Library believes that a thriving business community is good for us all. That's why we help entrepreneurs start a business with tools like Gale Business Builder. Keep commerce rolling by providing free access to computers and free Wi-Fi at 15 branch locations. Get a library card. Grow your business at ebrpl.com/departments/small business.
And we're back with Tiger Rag Radio.
Back here on Tiger Rag Radio, Jeff Palermo along with Glenn Gilbo and Todd Horn. For LSU baseball fans, Friday night was a cool night if you stayed up to watch the game, and there's probably not too many people in Louisiana would normally stay up to watch the A's take on the Nationals in Sacramento, but that's the situation you had on Friday night with Gage jump starting for the A's, Tommy White making his major league debut. You had Dylan Cruz in right field for the Nationals, and Jay Johnson was there. Of course, right. He is from that part of the country, so a chance for him to go back home and then check out three of his former guys. And so it was a fun game. It was interesting. Tommy Tanks got a double in his last at-bat and a blowout loss on Friday. But then last night, in case you didn't see it in the game in Arizona, Tommy White had 4 hits. And this is the thing that just watching him and then just kind of looking at his statistics, he hit 74 home runs in college baseball. In minor league baseball, he's only hit 24 home runs. He has become more of a... And I saw a little brief interview. I don't know when it was exactly done. It wasn't done on Friday. It was, I think, it seemed like it was an interview done in spring training or something, just kind of talking about. And he talked a lot about being a contact hitter. And that's kind of what his game looks like. Like he's still got that really good bat speed, but he seems more of a guy that would rather hit closer than 300 than hit 30 home runs a season.
I think it has to do with the fact that he cut his hair. He's not wearing the pink sleeves anymore.
Or the eye black that's all over his face.
Yeah. And he looks like he's lost about 20 pounds, too.
Yeah. I was trying to figure that out because he was 242 as a freshman at North Carolina State, 230 at LSU. At least that's what it said on the LSU website. He's now listed at 220.
So there you go, 22 pounds. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm a good gauge.
So, but yeah, it was pretty cool. And, of course, Tommy gets an opportunity because their all-star first baseman, Nick Kurtz, is out. He's got a sprained thumb. And then their third baseman, he got injured. So Tommy White can play first or third. And so we'll see. We'll see how long
he's playing mostly first, though, right now.
Mostly first, yeah.
Mostly first, yeah.
You know what was funny about his call-up, too, is most of the time when you get called up, you go to a much bigger ballpark. Yeah. But he got called up to the Athletics, and they're playing in a minor league ballpark that he's already played in.
Yeah.
14,000-seat Sacramento Stadium.
Yeah. They're supposed to be in Las Vegas next year?
No.
28.
So they're going to play in that park all next year, too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wow. Charlie Finley's rolling over in his grave.
Yeah.
And Paul Skeens has rebounded a little bit. He's won his last 3 starts, and the Pirates are hot. And it'll be interesting to see what they do at the trade deadline if they try to add, because they have one of the best offenses in Major League Baseball. And you combine that with their starting staff, which is, of course, led by Skeens, they could be... It could be a dangerous team.
I think they're about 9 games out, though.
Not in the wild card.
Yeah, right. But
the wild card, they're right there.
If they were in the American League West, they'd be in first place.
Well, wait, what does this mean for your Cubs, though?
What it means is, the Cubs have had a lot of success against Skeens.
Yeah.
For some reason. They had beat them earlier this year, in fact. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of like the Pirates. I don't like the Cardinals. I hate the Brewers, but the Pirates, I'm like,
How can you hate the Brewers, man? Harvey Wallbangers, man. I love the Brewers.
They annoy me.
Oh, right, so because they beat you.
Yeah, exactly.
They're better.
They are. Better. I will freely admit it, and it aggravates the living daylights out of me.
What's Bregman doing for the Cubs?
Oh, he is not very well liked in Chicago.
Why is that?
Well, in fact, there was a game. First of all, he has not been very good.
That's probably it right there.
That's a big part of it. If he was He's only got 10 home runs. He's hitting 240. He's been basically a singles hitter for him. He still plays really good defense. I'll give him that. I think defensively he's really good. But he had a game in Milwaukee, I want to say it was around the 1st of July, where he hit a ground ball to short. He didn't bust it out of the box, and then the shortstop bobbled it. And if he was running hard down the line, he would have beat the throw. And so, of course, the guy's making $35 million a year. Everybody's saying that the guy making $35 million a year can't run down the first baseline. Bregman says, "Hey, I've had 8 soft tissue." You know how Bregman is. Mm-hmm. He's very defensive about his game. "I've had 8 soft tissues running down first base. There's times where I book it. There are times that I don't. Yeah, if I could go back in time, I probably would have ran fast because I didn't know he was going to bobble the ball." But the next night, he hits a home run. He hits a 3-run blast. And as he's going around the bases...
He trips.
No, at Wrigley Field, he's doing this thumbs down motion.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
Nah, that's
You don't do that.
No,
You don't do that.
No, that's not... So he's not very well liked in Chicago right now.
Hey.
Now, if he hits a 3-run homer to beat the Brewers in the playoffs, they'll throw a parade for him. But for right now, it's not been a very good first year in Chicago for him.
Speaking of the Brewers, coached by former college coach Pat Murphy.
Yeah.
What about the other college coach, San Francisco Giants coach Tony Vitello is 20 and a half games out of first. Man, you think he's going to last the year?
That's brutal.
Or make it the next year, you think?
I don't know. I could see them maybe pulling the plug out of him.
There wasn't much hope for them this year, though, was there, going into the year?
He'll probably get a second year, I would think.
That's a tough division, man. Even as bad as San Diego's not having. I mean, San Diego's a good team. They got all-stars all over their team. That's a tough division, and he's getting chewed up and spit up and thrown. It's been bad. It's been bad. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about Ryan Clark's dismissal from ESPN.
I'm Richard Fontenot, president of the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation. My brother and I grow rice, soybeans, and raise crawfish on our farm in Evangeline Parish. For a 4th-generation farmer like myself, Louisiana Farm Bureau is as much a part of my life as checking traps or harvesting rice. Our organization is more than 145,000 members strong, and we've been around for more than 100 years. The Louisiana Farm Bureau spans generations, and we want you to join our family.
Visit lafarmbureau.org. The Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation, the voice of Louisiana agriculture.
Now more Tiger Rag Radio.
All right, back here on Tiger Rag Radio. Tough day for ESPN as they laid off several of their on-air personalities, including former LSU Tiger Ryan Clark, and a man who was writing about it before Ryan Clark actually received his dismissal, and is Dan Zaksheske from OutKick. Dan Zaksheske joining us here on Tiger Rag Radio. Dan, thanks a lot for joining us. How you doing tonight?
Sure, no problem. I'm doing well. Thank you.
It's good to have you on. So this is just a bizarre story in the sense of how it all went down. From OutKick's perspective, how do they see this? Because obviously the news has come out that Ryan Clark was actually on the air, and then when they went to commercial break, they, I guess, brought him in the room and said, "That's it. You're done here." And that's really a tough way to be told that you're. It's never a good thing to be fired. It's never good news to get, but to get it when you're an on-air personality, to actually get it when you're in the middle of your show.
Yeah. So what happened was ESPN had planned to tell Ryan and everyone else who was being laid off Tuesday, so this morning, that they were being laid off, which is why Ryan was scheduled for his normal appearance on NFL Live on Monday, not knowing anything. I received information on Monday morning that this was coming, that Clark was indeed going to be part of the layoffs. So I brought that information to, our editorial team, and one of our other reporters, Bobby Burke, said, "Hey, I heard that too from a different source." So I was like, okay. He had a couple sources, I had a couple sources, and we talked it over, and we're like, all right, well, we feel comfortable. We've got 4 sources basically saying Ryan Clark is part of the ESPN layoff, so we felt pretty comfortable to go with the story. Now, as you guys know, standard journalism practice is to give the subject of a story, in this case it was ESPN, not Clark, because we didn't know if Clark knew, a chance to comment. That being said, we had our reservations about contacting ESPN because the worry was that if we let them know that we knew, they could possibly try to undermine us. Look, we can't prove necessarily what happened, but we sent an email at 4 p.m. Eastern time saying we are going to publish in 1 hour at 5 o'clock. We are going to publish this story that says Ryan Clark is being laid off. Would you like to comment? ESPN initially said, can you hold the story till 5:45? Now, I assume they asked for that because they wanted the show to end and then be able to tell Clark after the show. We said no because, again, we didn't feel comfortable waiting. We knew other outlets could possibly have this. We knew ESPN could possibly be communicating to other outlets to make sure they got it first. So we said no. And then ESPN suddenly, like 10 minutes later, was like, yeah, actually 5 o'clock's fine. And then lo and behold, Andrew Marchand of The Athletic posts a story that was 2 paragraphs long and contained a typo, which made it look like his story was quite rushed to get out there to beat our story, which, again, can't prove it, but the circumstantial evidence seems to point to the fact that ESPN probably alerted Marchand that our story was coming at 5 o'clock, and if he wanted to get his story up at the same time, that would be ideal.
Dan, did just out of curiosity, did you guys, in your story, I didn't see it, did you have Cam Newton also in it, or was it just about Ryan Clark?
Bobby reported exclusively this morning on the Cam Newton news. We did not alert ESPN that we knew about Cam Newton because we didn't want to have that happen.
Hey, Dan, this is Glenn. Thanks for joining us, man. Yeah, that's amazing. Were you and Bobby, were y'all communicating before you realized you had this, similar information, or did that just kind of happen?
Yeah, it just kind of happened, Glenn. Great to talk to you again. As you know, we have our OutKick editorial meetings twice a day. So at the afternoon meeting, I brought up that I had this information, and Bobby was like, "Oh, I do too." And that's kind of how it came together. Yeah, it's kind of how it came together. It's why we do those meetings, right? And at that point, realizing that we both had multiple sources, we felt comfortable with it. Because, when it comes to stuff like this, someone losing their job, like that's something you want to be absolutely sure of. And I honestly would not have done the story if it was just me. I honestly had some reservations. But once I heard that Bobby had a couple people, I was like, okay, we got 4 sources. Like, that's a lot. Like, we're comfortable now with this.
And were you guys ever able to get in touch with Ryan, or has Ryan spoken to anyone other than his statements on Twitter and so forth?
No, he doesn't communicate with us. He had his statement on social media, and then I did notice that the Breakfast Club is circulating a statement from, quote, sources close to Ryan that sounds like a text they're reading from Ryan. But, again, my opinion, sounds like he's feeding some information to the media outlets that he wants to feed them to. He's not going to give us a statement because he thinks we'll twist it or whatever he thinks.
Well, OutKick was more fair to him than ESPN was, I would say.
I would agree with that. Honestly, I would agree with that, especially in our breaking story. And, guys, quite frankly, if ESPN had told us, like, hey, can you hold your story because we haven't told Ryan yet and we don't want this to come out while he's on the air, I would have said, yes, that's fine. If they were totally open and honest and PR was transparent with me and said, this is why we'd like you to hold the story, and if you do that, we won't go tell anyone else and we'll let you have the story, I would have said that's fine. I actually didn't even realize Clark was on the air when I sent the email. Like, I don't pay that close attention to ESPN's schedule. And I also was shocked to find out after the fact that he was on the air. Yeah. And I went back and watched the replay of NFL Live. And I did notice that he was on the air for about the first 40 minutes, give or take, with the commercial breaks. And then in the 4th segment, as you guys know, all of a sudden a pre-produced Leonard Fournette segment plays for like 10 minutes. And you're like, oh, I bet they threw that in there because they were like, what do we do now?
Wow.
We need to fill some time.
Well, Dan, what do you make of now the reason for this, for people that don't follow sports media? ESPN acquired the NFL media assets, and there's one of the reasons why they've done this is because they wanted to reduce the duplication. Obviously, you got like Tom Pelissero, who was an NFL Network insider, was one of the individuals that was let go today. But there's people outside of the football realm that have also been let go. We mentioned Carl Ravitch, who LSU baseball fans are very familiar with as someone who's called College World Series games, and he's done a lot of the SEC basketball games, the Tuesday night games here over the last couple of seasons, and several other people as well. What do you make out of this? And Pat McAfee has been taking a lot of darts today because people are saying, look, they're firing all these people so they can give Pat McAfee this huge contract.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been, everyone does that as soon as these layoffs happen. ESPN does layoffs every couple of years. You guys probably realize that by now. I actually will tell you that I was part of an ESPN layoff back in 2020, November. I used to work for ESPN, worked there for almost 10 years. I was part of a layoff. Like, they happen every couple of years. I do believe them in one aspect. Like, it does make sense to get rid of Tom Pelissero because, God forbid, someone steps on Adam Schefter's toes. We can't have that.
Yeah, right.
I feel bad for Ravitch, who I also worked with and think is great. I think that's tough. Stefania Bell I worked with, thought she was great. I think that the NFL Network, though, was a very convenient cover to get rid of Ryan Clark. And, guys, I think this started back when he signed his last deal. If you recall, in 2024, Ryan made it very public that their contract negotiations were not going well. He accused ESPN of not valuing him enough, of thinking he deserved more money. ESPN does not take kindly to that kind of thing. And in 2024, I think the climate was a little bit more contentious, where there was some concern about, him bringing possibly race into it if they let him go. So I think they begrudgingly signed him in 2024, but I believe that was always going to be his last contract, that he was never going to get another contract from ESPN. And then, as you guys obviously are well aware, the statements he made around the Kyron Lacey situation, when he essentially accused the entire Louisiana State Police of being racist, and then the video comes out, I think that one was I don't think enough people are talking about how important that misstep was. Ryan's had to apologize on air like 4 or 5 times in the last 2 years for things that he said. So it's easy to say it's redundancy, but I think Clark's days were numbered pretty much as soon as he signed that last deal.
Do you believe his career is pretty much over now?
What do you mean?
Well, since he's made so many missteps and there's not too many places to land.
He still has his podcast, and I would imagine he'll still do very well.
I mean, that's the reason I asked, what do you mean, is do I think he's going to get another network television job? No, I don't. I don't think Ryan Clark is going to be added to NBC's Sunday Night Football coverage or,
right.
I mean, there's a possibility that one of the streamers, because they're relatively new, might want someone who draws some controversy, maybe, but I think he's going to probably focus on his podcast. It does well. They're out doing live shows and all that. And, Ryan's made a ton of money. I mean, no one should shed a tear for Ryan Clark. It's tough to get fired in the middle of a show, but, nature of the business.
It happened to Jeff earlier.
Certainly isn't.
Yeah, we've announced, Dan, that Ryan Clark is replacing Jeff here on our show. He's going to start next week.
But I stayed on the show. I didn't run away like Ryan Clark did. Yeah, well, it's for those. How old are you, Dan, if I mind asking?
I am 36 years old.
36 years old. Okay, so I'm 50, and I've been watching the podcast that Rich Eisen, This is SportsCenter, was fantastic for those that haven't been able to watch it. For someone like me, a kid of the 90s, where SportsCenter was at its peak, and it's certainly ESPN is not. Even if you didn't have all the politics that seem to be around ESPN now, the SportsCenter would still never be the same, just because we have a phone and we can watch highlights. Back in the day, we had to wait till 10 o'clock SportsCenter or the 11 o'clock SportsCenter if you wanted to watch the highlights of a certain game. But it's still, for those that, like myself, that grew up on ESPN SportsCenter, seeing these kind of events and seeing all these people get let go, it's tough. It's tough to watch, and you're right. A lot of these people, I don't know where they turn, and I've seen a lot of. It's good to see that it looks like you've rebounded pretty well in your career, but there's a lot of people, when they get let go from ESPN, man, this shatters them. This takes a long time for them to regroup.
It can, but honestly, guys, like almost everyone I know that's been let go from ESPN tells me, and I'll say the same thing, didn't know it at the time, best day of my life.
Yeah.
Best day of my life. Like, people don't understand, like, working at ESPN, one guy said to me one time, it's better to be a former ESPN employee than a current ESPN employee. And I didn't understand what that actually meant.
That's good on the resume.
Until now.
Yeah.
It's great, right? I could say I worked at ESPN for 10 years. It looks good on a resume, but I do not miss working there. I'm glad I don't. I did want to say you brought up a memory of mine because same thing, right? Like a little younger than you, but I remember my dad used to make me hold a cardboard box over the bottom of the TV to cover up the bottom line because he didn't want the red score scheduled before they showed the highlights. He wanted to be surprised and actually get to watch the highlights without knowing the score on SportsCenter.
Those were the days, man. That was awesome. Yeah. Well, hey, very good stuff, Dan, and thanks for pulling the curtain behind and letting us know about it. Tough day for Ryan Clark, but maybe he'll bounce back, just like you did, and sounds like so many others have. We appreciate your time tonight.
Should have just put some duct tape over the bottom of the TV, Dan.
That's great.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
All right, Dan Zaksheske from OutKick. Good stuff, man. That's pretty wow. If you want to see how the sausage is made when it comes to a breaking story or a story that you get a scoop on, that was very interesting. We'll be back after this here on Tiger Rag Radio.
Tiger Rag Radio is back on the air.
All right, back here on Tiger Rag Radio. We got, we went a little long there with Dan. So we got Lane Kiffin speaking on Thursday. Lane's been obviously quiet, no social media. Do you think is he going to be when he's going to get a lot of tough questions based on the past and not so much about this 2026 LSU team, I feel like. But do you think he's going to be a low-key Lane Kiffin on Thursday?
I think he'll start out low-key, and I think he may remain low-key. I think he's going to cling to the resources that LSU has, the opportunity that LSU has, the great best program that LSU football is that he's been mimicking and talking about. And I think that's going to be his cover, if you will, for those hard questions coming from the national reporters about leaving Ole Miss and from the Ole Miss reporters. And I think he's going to talk about the fact that he did have the financial support to bring the roster to the level that he brought it to, and then now it's a matter of putting it together, and you can't expect to do it because of the tough schedule, and Sankey's submarining him.
Well, there's a lot of national writers there, and there's a lot of Ole Miss writers there too. But there's a lot of LSU writers, and I guarantee you they're going to get their questions in that are going to be nice and softball, okay? Because you see it every time, not just LSU. The other schools they get those questions in there to kind of almost filibuster. I remember there was a guy that covered Alabama that would do that all the time.
You mean like so? What is Scott Rabalais going to ask?
Oh, come on,
wow. Man. Well, I remember with Les Miles, he would just. Ramble on for 14 minutes when he was at that main podium to, I don't know, what did they allot? 25 minutes for each coach?
Oh, yeah.
And he would just he just ramble for 13, 14 minutes.
Lane might do that.
Well, Brian Kelly did that.
Yeah. You know what's going to happen, too? Lane has not tweeted since
there'll be a question about that.
Well, this is what's going to happen. He's been lining up tweets for weeks, okay? He just hadn't published them, and on the Monday of the Ole Miss game before, he's going to start launching them all, and Pete Golding's head's going to explode.
All right, let's take one more break, and we'll be back after this here on Tiger Rag Radio.
Now, back to Tiger Rag Radio.
All right, final segment of the show. I haven't been able to get to this. Some future opponents announced for LSU football. Well, first of all, Tulane, LSU playing Tulane in 2030. Glenn, you excited about that?
Well, I was at some of the greatest LSU Tulane games ever. I was at that 1973 game in Tulane Stadium. I was 12 when Tulane beat LSU 14-0. And then the year before, LSU barely beat Tulane 9-3 in Tulane Stadium with Burt Jones in that game. But, that rivalry had its day. I mean, there were some great games, late 70s, early 80s on both sides. The 1982 game that LSU lost after getting the Orange Bowl bid, that was a classic game that Tulane won. But, they haven't played since 2009. I always thought it was cool for LSU to play a regular season game in New Orleans every now and then. I think they had like a 3-1 deal going. Considering some of the teams they play, I think it would be smart to play Tulane every now and then. So this is good.
I think the bigger news actually is that they canceled the Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like they kind of replaced Tulane with Arizona State one of those years.
So does that mean they're not going to play another school from a Power 4 conference that year? Do they think that rule is going to go away? Do they also feel that the season could potentially start a week earlier by scheduling Northwestern State and ULM on what would be right now week 0?
I think that's a safe bet.
That they think the schedule is going to be moved up.
Yes.
Totally.
Yes.
Okay, so there could be the Tulane game is scheduled August 31st. There could be actually a game on August 24th, as weird as that sounds.
Yeah.
In Tiger Stadium? That better be a night game, like a night game, like at 10 o'clock.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's crazy. But I'm kind of glad, it's great to see Tulane be as competitive as they are.
Hey, Tulane, man. You talk about a program that knew how to work the portal. The portal made them a program.
Dude, by 2030, LSU is going to be in the SEC, NFL, and there's not going to be any.
No.
And Lane Kiffin will be with the Cowboys.
I think there's a better chance that will happen than the breakaway happens by 2030.
Case, explain to us how the World Cup
how
works.
Did Argentina have a soft schedule?
How does the World Cup operate extra time?
I forgot Case was here.
Extra time? What does that have to do with anything?
How do they just end the game? It's arbitrary. What the hell's going on?
Oh, you're saying like the extra, the minutes at the end, the injury time, and yeah. I don't get it either.
I think it's whenever the team they want to win takes the lead, they say it's over.
That's the problem. That's what everyone's
FIFA,
issue
man.
is.
It's FIFA. Yeah. Who do you trust more, FIFA or the NCAA?
You want to talk about an organization that won't enforce any rules? Ask Francis Baligan about that one. Sorry.
So, what did you think of the World Cup, Case?
I thought it was a fantastic filler between the end of LSU baseball and SEC Media Days. That's all I ever wanted it to be, and it filled that role perfectly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, see, the expectations were met there for Case.
I hate SEC Media Days.
There's only 2 more days left, and Thursday hopefully will be somewhat interesting with Lane Kiffin. So, all right, guys, we got to get out of here. Good show. It was fun. Raymond Parts joined us, and along with Chris Gordy from SEC Football Media Days. Also good stuff there from the OutKick's Dan Zaksheske. So that does it for another show. For the latest in Tiger Rag, or for LSU News, check out TigerRag.com. If you missed any of the show, it will be uploaded to YouTube and anywhere you get your podcast. For Case, Todd, Glenn, Jeff, and everyone else that's been listening here to Tiger Rag Radio, have a good night, everyone.
Tiger Rag is everywhere. Online at TigerRag.com. Like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/TigerRagMagazine. Or follow us on Twitter at Tiger_Rag.